You're listening to the Line Sports Talk Podcast. It is Thursday, January 5th, 2017. This is the first edition of our daily fantasy show for 2017, and it's Wild Card Weekend. This is when things get really crazy, and it's aptly named. It gets wild. Harbor Mike is on the line. Harbor Mike, say hi to the listeners out there. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Everybody's good. Everybody's ready to win a few bucks. This is the weekend to do it. We've preached it all year long. We've shouted it from the rooftops that when you have these windows in the NFL to play 2 games, 4 games, 3 games, jump on it, and this is where you have to put your risk out. You have to understand that your opportunities improve when these windows get a little bit tighter. So let's go pick some. Let's see what we can come up with. What we're going to do, Mike, if you want to explain it or if you want me to do it either way, I want to explain the breakdown and how we're going to handle today's show going forward. For example, and keep up with me here, on Saturday, you have the Raiders and the Texans at 4 o'clock, and then the evening game is Detroit at Seattle. So the first contest on FanDuel is your Saturday only. I believe it has it listed as Saturday main as the first one, but we're going to do Saturday only first. So if you want to turn to your page in the manual for Saturday only, my friend, we can get that kicked off.
I'm there, baby.
All right, kid, fire away, man. We always start at the top of the list. Let's start with QBs because there's 4 of them to choose from here. Again, to reiterate, this is the Saturday-only lineup, so you have the Raiders at Houston and the Lions at the Seahawks in Seattle. So go for it.
Yeah, let's just cover real quick the top 2 payouts, $150,000 and $75,000 in prizes and $2 and $5 entries, respectively. So for this, if you look at the $5 entry, there's only 17,647 people. It pays $5,000. So depending on how much money you want to spend, let's say you want to spend $100, you can really cover some ground. If you want to do the 2 and you cover $100, I guarantee you, well, almost could guarantee.
No, you don't.
yeah, I don't want to guarantee you, but with the $2 entry, I bet you could nail the winning combination with 50 lineups for sure. But just understand you're going to be splitting this with a lot of people because there's all the picks are you almost have to go. Like you'd mentioned, Russell Wilson or Matthew Stafford over the other 2 or the other 2 guys.
Yeah. So let's just go right at the quarterback choices here.
I think because I think it's at Seattle against Seattle's D. I would go with Russell Wilson. Matthew Stafford's not too hot. He cooled off, and now he played well last week, but I just don't see him outplaying Russell Wilson.
No, but I think that's you are restricted at those choices for this particular example to do either Wilson or Stafford.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine in my wildest Brock Osweiler, although we're going to get to him where I might start him in another one, and we'll get to the explanation of that, another contest. I can't see Osweiler outperforming either of those 2, and no offense to your boy Connor Cook, just going into Houston in his first start, I just can't see him outperforming.
I can't see it either. It's really, if you think about it for a second, the insanity is this is the first time in the Super Bowl era that a rookie quarterback has made his first NFL start in a playoff game. That's insane, and that's an unbelievable amount of pressure. This is a kid at Michigan State who performed really well under pressure in some big games, but carry on.
Well, you saw how much everyone's made a big deal about Dak Prescott and how well he's done. Do you expect in the first game that you're going to get enough production to outproduce some of the stars in the NFL? I'm not counting on it. So
I would.
So that's real easy. So then I could jump to Lamar Miller as the top running back, the chalk. And if you look what he did the last time they played Oakland, and if you look at what I would believe because of, I think there's going to be a conservative nature of the game. The game is going to be played conservatively with your boy Connor and then also Osweiler. So it would seem to me that there's a good chance that Lamar Miller would be the number 1 back in this contest, these 4 games, or 2 games, 4 teams.
Yeah, I think you would be remiss if you started a lineup without Lamar Miller.
Right. Me too. Now the next one is going to be interesting because I'd like a little bit of your input. The way I'm looking at it, if you look at how they used him Zach Zenner really looks appealing to me. Green Bay was susceptible to the run last week, and the reason why I like Zenner is these utility backs that catch passes and run, I think have more value in PPR for sure, because you don't have to get 150 yards rushing and a touchdown, which is hard to do in the NFL, to get 20 points. You can go 50 yards, 8 catches, a touchdown, and 50, 60 yards, receiving, and get those points, and it's easier to do. So he's had 22 and 19 points in the last 2 games because they had to put Theo Riddick, on IR.
Right.
So to me, this is the sneaky play where someone's going to go with Latavius Murray or try to get Richard or one of these other guys, and he's the guy you could sneak in and kind of break down that low percentage of starts. At least I'm hoping. But then
I think his percentage would have climbed after last week. He did have a nice week again, and he's generating some attention. And I don't have the statistics in front of me, but he was apparently one hell of a college running back that I just didn't know so much of. Yeah, he went to somewhere up in maybe one of the Dakotas. I don't know. I'll happily look that up. But yeah, a good college running back, good college player. So the kid's got some skills, but like any third string running back, you're talented, but you're behind somebody else. We learned that with Rex Burkhead lighting up the Baltimore Ravens last week, which really, really surprised me. But yeah, I don't mind Zach Zenner as a pick. When we had before we had our pre-production meeting, I told you I had been looking into information on the Detroit Lions offensive line, which, for all intent and purpose, looks like they were the unsung heroes of that team offensively this year. They really protected Matt Stafford pretty well, and they were very good out of the backfield. Losing a guy like Theo Riddick was trouble for them because he was that scat back who was pretty explosive. I don't know that Zach Zenner can do that, but I think that Zach Zenner can help them move the football for sure.
Yeah,
he went to South Dakota State, by the way.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's DU.
Yeah, and of course, everybody's been there. Used to party on that campus.
Yeah. Well, when you got to get shit house when it's minus degrees up.
Yeah, you need the snowplow to get to class. South Dakota.
Ski, Wisconsin.
Florida, get it. So
yes,
moving along.
What do you think about the running back position for those two? Do you?
I think that Zenner is a guy that you probably do need to sneak in, especially on this Saturday only. But again, he is playing against Seattle at Seattle. That tends to make him a lot less attractive. He gets a little uglier when you start to think about how good Seattle is at home. Beneficially to probably both offenses, it looks like the weather is going to be pretty friendly to the offense. It's going to be 45 and sunny in Seattle, so no rain. If it stays dry, that's a big deal. No wind. Wind looks like I'm reading southeast at 5 miles an hour, so non-existent. That's a light breeze. It's comfortable. On the ground is something that I think that Detroit hasn't been excellent at. And Seattle is a better football team when they run the ball. Early on in the season, we always attacked that Detroit Lions defense, especially their pass defense, because they were the worst pass defense in the NFL for the majority of the season. I'm not sure offhand where they finished, but I think that you also need to give a guy like Thomas Rawls some attention.
Okay.
Just because this Seahawk team is a better team when they can control the ground game. They don't want to chase Matt Stafford, Golden Tate, and those guys, Marvin Jones, all over the field all day. They don't want to do that. I don't know that Richard Sherman has a great matchup with Golden Tate. I think Golden Tate can be able to get off on Sherman a little bit. I really think he can.
I can
see Seattle running the ball.
Yeah, and I think you could go with possibly Marvin Jones. I'm waiting for him to go off again, and I don't know what happened.
Yeah, you hold your breath. You might pass out.
Yeah, well, I mean, he 76 yards against Green Bay. He just hasn't scored in forever.
No, and and every other running back torches the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
Jordan Howard had monster days. Other guys had monster days. I'm just not impressed with him.
Yeah.
Because I'm a cynical jerk. Now you're really leaning in the direction of asking me what I think about Latavius Murray and DeAndre Washington.
Yeah, well, those are the only other obvious choices, I would say. So I just thought that given this game, Houston's pretty good against. Well, I guess you could run on them. They've had hits and misses. They looked like they shut down when they played the last time. They looked like they shut down Oakland pretty well.
Look, that Houston defense, especially against the run, is pretty good. I will tell you that on the injury report, it's important to note that Donald Penn has missed practice twice this week. That's the Raiders' left tackle. He makes a big difference on that offensive line. And with him out, all of a sudden, I think Vidal Alexander, who is a second-year player, is going to fill in over there. That's how they like him a lot. He's going to be a good player, but not Donald Penn caliber at this point in his career. So, yeah, I'm really, really leery of any offensive players in that Oakland-Houston game. I'm just leery of all of them. I think Edge leans towards Houston because Osweiler's done it before.
So then you really have Lamar Miller, Thomas Rawls, and Zach Zenner to choose from.
That's where you're at.
So I like Zenner because he saves me $900, but I could see Rawls, man, because I had him in our standard league. He just burned me. I'm a little concerned. I don't know if he's still hurt, but he hasn't really put up any impressive numbers since the Carolina and early.
He hasn't been very good, and I don't know that the Seattle Seahawks are very good.
Yeah, I don't think they are. I still think they're trying to, the NFL hypes certain teams and geographic locations, and they've
don't
been
think
on
they're very good
for years. They're not that good. They've had games where they should have been, going down the stretch, they could have, bettered their odds, and they played.
Yeah, last night in the Pick'em show, I ended up taking Seattle 29-17, but I left a caveat there that some part of me believes that Detroit's going to cover that game and stay within the 8 points. And the more and more I look at it as the days go by, this is why I like doing the Pick'em show on a Saturday, because I can kind of complete my thought for the week. And I can completely wrong come Saturday, but I've got this really weird feeling. I got a weird feeling that Detroit's going to go in there and give them a hard time.
I think they have heart, man. I really do. I think
they do. That's a good team. It's a well-coached team. I know that some folks in Detroit may disagree with me on my sentiment with Jim Caldwell, but I said it last year. They play for that guy. When players play for a coach, it makes a big difference. It really does. We see what it does when they don't play for him, a la New York Jets.
Oh God, yeah, that's horrible. At least they kept Todd Bowles. I mean, I don't necessarily know why, but
ugly.
We'll
just
see.
Ugly. I think it's because nobody else wants the job. But yeah, Rawls scares me. Detroit's rush defense is not completely bad, not as bad as their pass defense. But yeah, this is actually tougher than I want it to be. But I do feel like at some point you're going to have to do a lineup to stuff a Latavius Murray in there. It almost is it's got some overkill effect where I can see the Houston Texans game planning that we're going to make Connor Cook beat us. Let's stuff an extra guy up front. Let's get into the backfield. Let's wreak havoc and not let them run. Jadeveon Clowney's real good at making problems in the backfield too. But if they can create enough havoc to make Connor Cook beat him, there's just that possibility that Cook might complete a couple and might get a little dink and a little dunk and start to spread them out. I look for the Raiders to screen a lot of passes, get the Houston Texans chasing. So if they are, those screens, the beneficiary of those screens are going to be the Latavius Murrays, Jalen Richard, and DeAndre Washingtons of the world. The problem is that there's three of them, and I don't know who to choose from.
Yeah, that's the reason why I kind of want to stay away from them.
I think it's probably wise to not bulk them in your lineups. I think for the Saturday only play, you're looking at Lamar Miller and Thomas Rawls or Zach Zenner.
So. And then let's spit out our wide receivers quickly.
Sure, let's do some focusing here because again, this is where it starts to get interesting, especially with guys like DeAndre Hopkins and Amari Cooper, who both of their seasons were not overly impressive, and I think that that's just due to injury and due to bad quarterback play. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, DeAndre looked pretty good last week, but again, it was against Tennessee. So I tell you what, I definitely want Doug Baldwin. I'm doing the Russell Wilson and Doug Baldwin stack.
I'm with you.
I'm throwing Golden Tate in there just for, pretty much kind of what you had touched on a little second ago.
He could get off on that Seattle secondary. Think about this. this is something that